they will likely try to make it an act of God to try to get the body cam evidence. When these things are done to an at-risk adult who has their developmental disability paperwork filled out, the state is actually legally obligated to pick it up. And that's where denying me the access, preventing me and Megan Misegatis from doing the developmentally disabled paperwork, preventing me and Justine Marks from doing the developmental disability paperwork. And of course, DHHS sending it out, not even sending that mail out until after the appointment is over. And of course, Marcia Estrada admits that that is a common tactic. They do that all the time. It's your fault. It's your fault that you didn't write them in the proper amount of days, even though you were denied access to the resources to do so. All they got to do is outright lie and say you didn't make the effort. The judge outright lies for the prosecution and for your predators in that situation. And then when you try to appeal it, when you say, hey, I was denied that access. Oh, it's been 3 days. No. Like that situation with Zach Richmond. That judge, what he did in that situation is a felony for a judge to do. Even in the state of Nebraska, that is a felony. In the state of Nebraska, they lie to him and magically he's dumb enough to believe that shit. He should have fucking looked it up. Yes, the judge in that case committed a fucking felony. When there are circumstances like that deprive you of your constitutional rights, yes, even a judge in that case is committing a felony. Almost poked that into my eyeball. Now, when do you know you got these son of a bitches? You're trying to explain the crimes. And of course, it's their coworkers, and they're going to talk over you the whole time, and you stop them. And you ask them. Of course, according to the law. Like, let's say they won't let you explain that an officer punched you in the head. Now, that's obviously not the same thing. Obviously, it's not the same crime, but a crime is a crime. And a crime against a developmental disabled person, or a disabled person, period, is considered a heinous crime. It's the same as rape. It's the same as molesting a child. It's a heinous crime. Only disgusting, fucked up people, the most fucked up of the most fucked up of our society, will prey on children or the disabled. You have to have zero conscience to do these things to children or to the disabled. And yet we're seeing that CPS and the police are the ones doing these things most prevalently and most often to children and the disabled. Literally 5 children every single day die in foster care. Of course, there's protecting their names because they're minors now, huh? They do have that now, don't they? Unless it's your kid in a house and it happens at your house. Yeah, then nothing's protected. They tell about you and your kids and the time you were arrested in 1998 for drunk driving, so you must be a violent killer and you got rid of your own kids and saw I figured that was probably more entertaining than saying blah, blah, blah. But in all of these cases, of course, yesterday, I had a situation like that as well. Or they want to interrupt you while you're trying to explain the crime. They won't even allow you to get to the crime. They have all of these excuses that they're pounding on you. They said that you would get your opportunity to speak, and they're absolutely not only 1, but 3-on-1 depriving you of that ability. And then when you ask them something that you know blatantly and obviously is against the law, I mean, you state it as a question of, is it against the law to do this? Like, of course, when they want to treat you like you're mentally ill and they want to insinuate that you're crazy, like, of course, Mark Peterson did. That magically makes all of his crimes go away, doesn't it? Of course it does. But the question is it still illegal if I really am, quote unquote, schizophrenic? Does that make it okay to commit those crimes? If I ask an officer who is trying to pretend that I'm crazy, give me the mentally ill treatment, and tell me that it's not illegal to commit these crimes against me, and I ask him, is this a crime? And I spell it out for him, exactly what they're doing, and he gets silent. He knows that he can't answer that question. Why can't he answer that question? Because if he does answer that question, then it's an acknowledgement that he knows the law well enough to know that it's wrong. Now, of course, the situation with them yesterday, we got to make sure that, and the reason I'm not giving that example is because I want to make sure that I don't state things improperly. I don't want my words to come together wrong because it was a heated situation. But of course, when they're wanting to make every excuse, like let's say the officer had raped you and you're trying to turn in rape because we're talking about heinous crimes here. You don't care about heinous crimes when they happen to disabled homeless people, but whatever. We'll avoid that part and we'll get on with it. So you ask them, is this still against the law if somebody is schizophrenic, is quote unquote mentally ill? Does that make it okay to rape them? I mean, you're trying to explain to them that one of their officers raped you, and they're stopping you and talking over you, and they're not even allowing you to explain the situation, and they're trying to insinuate that it must have been consensual because this is their friend. It must be consensual. They don't allow you to finish a sentence before imposing and implying that you had wanted it, needed it, chose it, or deserved it, that this was your desire. And they twist and they manipulate the words. And then, instead of the body cameras being allowed, the body cameras that show the truth of the situation, instead of those being allowed, they just hold the charges, drag it out as long as possible, refuse access to those things, and then they drop the charges at the last minute. After they've already eaten up a bunch of my time, a bunch of my energy, a bunch of my money, and painted me out as a villain to the general public. And then they want to pretend like it's a mercy that they're letting me go. No. No. Now, why is it, may I ask, that those two officers who killed Demetrius Shankling, why is it that I'm still treated like I'm crazy for saying that Boulder officers have done that for years? That including those two officers took part in doing those things to me. No, they didn't put me face down in the transport. They did worse. See, here's the thing about Demetrius Shankling. He's lucky. He's lucky that he died. Between that and this, I would say that death is more humane. What those officers did to me was inhumane. What they did to him was far more humane than the possible outcome. Now, he's not a hobo. Demetrius Shankling wasn't. Through all of this, you get to hear conversation after conversation that are posted on YouTube. You get to hear officers over and over again, these same exact tactics. You get to hear how what Alyssa Rainwater wanted to claim about the situation with Amanda Jonas, Officer Amanda Jonas, versus what Officer Amanda Jonas herself said. They are not the same. You get to hear how what Mandy Hughes, that is Alyssa Rainwater's mother, had to say about the situation. Absolutely, I told the truth. And absolutely, these people made lots of claims that if these things were actually true, they would have made all the difference in the world in court. Now, of course, the stuff that you guys want to pretend I'm a horrible person for saying and doing that is not against the law, well, of course, it does show that I'm angry about the situation. So you get to use that to pretend that I'm angry and hateful and use it to support things that you have zero evidence of. I'm still waiting on Leslie Snell to show where I threatened to kill her children. I'm still waiting on Leslie Snell to show evidence that I threatened to kill her or her husband. I'm still waiting on evidence from Leslie Snell that shows that I threatened to kill her fucking dog. There is literally no evidence of that. What there is evidence of is that Leslie Snell repeatedly, when I was told by multiple agencies that I needed to call Dual County Sheriff's Department and turn this in to Dual County Sheriff's Department, that repeatedly Leslie Snell wanted to make excuses for situations she was not there for and assist Dual County Sheriff Scott DaCosta and his rotten ass deputies in getting away with these crimes. She tried to give out my phone number intentionally. You guys say, oh, it's their job, they have to. No, they don't. If you tell them that it represents a safety issue for them to do that they already have your number and that the deputy has your number, she literally wanted to go out of her way to make sure that the general public had my number because she knows that I record it live on YouTube, and she outright lied in the courtroom about things that are all over the paperwork that show it's the truth and all over my YouTube channel that show it's the truth. How many times did she try to give out my number? And of course, Megan Missigatis, she wants to say, oh, well, she was just doing her job. No, Megan, don't fucking bullshit me. Do not do that. If you are going to go out of your way to make excuses for my predators, no matter what, and go out of your way not to look at evidence of the situation, and you want to pick and choose little bits and pieces, here's the thing, Megan Missigatis, is that did you go back through any of the dozens and dozens of calls? Or did you cherry pick that one little part that they wanted to throw out? Did you want to believe that this stuff was legal? You're a fucking idiot, Meg. You are a fucking idiot. You are a fucking moron. You're not a lawyer, and then magically you are, and then you're not, and then you are. You're not a lawyer, and then all of a sudden you're a fucking pocket lawyer when it comes to doing the right thing, when it comes to doing your job as a mandated reporter. Holy fuck, you're a fucking stupid person. And you know what? I use the word cunt very specifically, don't I? Yeah, that's right. Your silence is violence. Your silence is compliance. That's right. You were smart to take the fifth. And thank goodness you did. It shows you got something to hide. Just like these officers. You asked them in basic, blunt terms, is this illegal? Is rape illegal? They say yes. Is it still illegal if the person is called mentally ill? And they say yes. And of course the next question is probably something they're going to take the fifth on. The time, that's right. In the situation with Marcia Estrada, what did you try to turn in? Which of the literally dozens of crimes that I sent you evidence of, which ones did you try to turn in? How long after I told you about them and showed you evidence of them, or at least tried, how long after that until you finally tried to make a report? How many months? These people want to say that they did these things. When? Just like I say with the diabetic shoes. You know, you go to this person supposed to help hook you up with shoes because you got diabetes. And if you don't get these special shoes, they're going to have to amputate your feet in 2 weeks. And this person, 6 months after your feet have already been amputated, you know, they swear up and down they're going to this and they're going to that. They finally show back up. They've been ignoring you for 6 months. And they show back up and they got these special shoes for you. They found them at a secondhand store and thought of you, and they brought them to you. And they want you to put them on your feet and take a photo op because they did this great and wonderful thing for you. And you say, dude, I don't even have fucking feet to put them on. Oh, you're being ungrateful. You're being ungrateful. And then they run around and they tell people about how ungrateful you are, about how you needed these diabetic shoes. You needed these diabetic shoes, and you begged them for these diabetic shoes. And when you brought them the diabetic shoes, they treated you like shit. Did I or did I not bring you the diabetic shoes? Yes, you did. Yes, you did, you fucking piece of shit. You brought me them diabetic shoes when they wouldn't do any fucking difference, and then you treated me like shit because I wouldn't give you a fucking photo op for you to show all of your friends and family how you helped out this fucking retard who couldn't help himself. Hey guys, look, I got this friend, he's got diabetes. Got him these shoes. Oh yeah, I'm a smooth character. You see what a good guy I am. Woo! Yeah. See my friend here in the wheelchair with the shoes I bought for him. Oh, he asked me for the diabetic shoes. What? You're not gonna fucking put those on your feet? I don't have any feet, dude. Now you're making excuses. God, you are so fucking ungrateful. After all I did for you. After all I did for you. God, it's amazing how people fucking play retarded when they do something fucking stupid and then get busted fucking lying about it. Or when they fucking procrastinate until it makes no fucking difference. I mean, when you procrastinate like that, at that point, the way for you to help them includes admitting that you fucked up. I mean, shit, they came to you about abuse. By law, you're supposed to fucking help them. You didn't. And now, there are consequences for that innocent person because you're a lazy fucking piece of shit. And now they're gonna continue to be victimized because you're a fucking useless, lazy, goddamn piece of shit. And what are you gonna do? Are you gonna admit that you fucked up? No, you're gonna fucking backtrack. And you're gonna let the victim take fucking hell because you don't want the goddamn consequences. What do we call that? Passing the buck. What do we call that? We call that cowardice. Who admitted to their crimes? Who admitted to their bad assumptions? Who admitted where they fucked up? That's a grand total of me. Me. Now, thank goodness there are other people who came forward and did admit that they fucked up. And although we're not apparently in communication for whatever reason it happens to be, well, at least they admitted with their own faces, their own pictures, their own voices, literally their own voices. They admitted why they didn't do those things. They admitted that these people existed. They admitted that they existed. These people admitted all of the things that show that these cops and Bollinger's lied throughout all of this, and that I did have to deal with a bunch of fucking nut jobs through all of this, and that through all of this, never once did one of these witnesses come forward with me to assist me in making a report to the police. I had to wait on somebody named Molly Smith who didn't know shit about the situation, but she knew of my character. She knew of my content of character. Why? Because in Chapel, Nebraska, even with all the people who called me N-word lover, who hate me incredibly, well, the people who knew me in person, those are pretty well-respected people, like the Jepsons, Rory Jepson especially. when you're called mentally ill and you're alone. And you've got to go to literally your own predators who are trying to backtrack and cover for themselves and for their other officers, to go out of their way to frustrate and fluster the situation and antagonize the situation. And then you're the bad guy because, oh, they showed up, they tried. In this situation, it's stuck as their word versus mine until I can get the body cameras. I have to literally go to the sheriff's department and the police department and pay them for evidence of their crimes. And of course, how many body cameras do I need to get? Well, all in all, probably about 30 just from here in Hood River because of multiple situations involving multiple officers. Now, how am I supposed to turn in these officers when I can't get a in edgewise? How's that going to work? They're telling me they're to help me, but then they're, of course, trying to intimidate me for trying to turn them and their officers in. They were there and then they weren't. They were there and then they weren't. They were there and then they weren't. Now, with them bouncing back and forth and changing their minds and changing the laws over and over again, I ask them plainly and clearly, is this against the law? Silence. Silence. They can't admit at that point that it's against the law because they have to acknowledge at that point they've been doing this. They have been doing this. These are officers. They get to say that they didn't know. You don't get to. They're not going to admit that they fucked up, and they, as officers who are supposed to know the law, get to use ignorance of the law as an excuse, while I am not allowed that excuse. Now, of course, I don't have a legal residence in this state, so it's actually illegal for me to smoke pot anywhere that I go. I have been smoking marijuana in this state, so yeah. Ignorance of the law is no excuse, right? Now that I am aware that the things that I was told, and of course I looked up and couldn't find an either or on, I just knew that it was all legal here and that being openly fucked up, you're allowed to be fucked up and walk around. So that part I knew. You're just not allowed to consume it in public. You're not allowed to consume it anywhere except your own legal residence. My own legal residence is non-existent. If they send something to the general mail here, you know, if I walk into the post office, because that's basically my legal address here, if somebody sends me something to general mail, so then I walk into the post office and is it okay for me to smoke pot there? No, that's a federal offense. That's a federal building. See, that's the thing with Jenny Richmond. See, she's not paying attention to the fact that she has a position within the federal government. Federal government. She works for the post office. She is Chapel's Postmaster General. The fact that I don't have a post office box there has to do with, of course, illegal and immoral crimes committed by Scott DaCosta and my other predators. Now, there's multiple occasions where, well, you know, Megan Misgatis, she kind of tried to feel it out. She tried to feel it out with the silence thing. And of course, her, just like many other people, she wanted to feel it out. And of course, when I didn't post it up, she figured, oh, it's safe, it's bullshit. Well, that's the biggest fucking mistake that she made, because just like these other people, well, some of that stuff's already on YouTube. And I already told you, Meg. I told you I was telling the truth. Of course, I didn't post up the shit that's got your phone number or my phone number or my fucking social security number in it, stupid. And then you go, oh, well, I'll go back through. Really? How are you going to go back and look through videos that are on my fucking computer? How are you going to go back through and look through recordings that are on my fucking computer? You're not here in person. How are you going to do that, Meg? See, that's the thing about busting these people lying. I recorded them saying these things, and then I gave them every opportunity because I love them and I wanted them to be able to save some face. Hey, you fucked up, but you can redeem yourself as a human being by admitting that you fucked up. And no, what did Megan Missegatis want to do? She wanted to outright, and I love this part, every time some fucking idiot pulls this one, I love it. It is the best part of all of it. When they claim that something did not happen outright after a good long while of trying to take the fifth and take the fifth and take the fifth, until finally they think that the fucking situation is clear. That's where you made the biggest fucking mistake of your goddamn life. A lot of people, they want to look up and, oh, well, this one's got my name in it. This one's got my name in it. That's right. And those aren't the only ones I talk about you in, are they? Your name isn't even in all of the conversations that are recorded live on YouTube. So, yeah, you can go with your name search. That's not going to stop me from being able to post up the other shit. That's not going to... Well, like I said, in person. In person, you say you're going to look through it. Well, Meg, that's the thing, is that I offered to go all the way to Lincoln to get your help in person. To get you to look at it in person and help me to turn it in person. See, where you screwed up was because you were smart by taking the fifth. I mean, that shows that you got something to hide, but it doesn't show exactly what you got to hide. It shows when you're taking the fifth that you're realizing now that you're probably going to get in trouble. You're realizing how big of a fucking mistake that you made. And at this point, you've got a moral dilemma. Do you tell the truth and admit that you fucked up and try to remedy the situation? Or do you backtrack like a motherfucker? Now, of course, it's not against the law to make a mistake. And if you were refusing to look at the evidence that you made a mistake, that's your fault. That's not mine. When you start trying to hide your mistakes and outright lie about those situations, well, then you've fucked up to an extreme, especially knowing that I record everything. You fucking stupid shit. You're not that bright. You're about as bright as a box of rocks in the shade with the lid closed. And no, I don't want to have to say that. I don't want to have to tell the whole world that my autism advocate is playing fucking retarded. I don't want to have to tell people that my autism advocate fucked me over by being a fucking coward and not doing what an advocate's supposed to do. It's false fucking advertisement, just like when Kara Johnson Miles did it. What's the difference? The difference is that Kara Johnson Miles did it maliciously. However, looking at the situation with Megan Missegatis, she's already starting to do things that are malicious. Now, when she wanted to throw it in my face about her, what do you call it? Chemo brain. Oh yeah, I get it. Chemo brain. Yes, blame it on chemo. Blame it on chemo. Then she's like, oh, well, you're throwing that in my face. Well, absolutely I am. We all have memory issues, and now you're trying to use chemo brain. All right. The reason that I brought up the chemo brain is because she was using that as an excuse. So, of course, I understand. I have to understand. I have to believe her. But then she wants to throw it in my face later that, oh, well, you know, that doesn't affect my memory or whatever. You know, that has nothing to do with it. It's not okay for you to bring... Well, really? People can call me mentally ill and call me all sorts of fucked up shit, whatever they want to call me. They can lie about my medical records. They can fucking lie to hospitals to have things written down on my medical records. I'm not understanding, Meg Missegatis, how there is a difference. I don't get it. I don't see how there is a difference between what you did and what Kara Johnson Miles did. Both of you pretended to be autism advocates. Both of you. Neither of you did what an autism advocate is supposed to do. Now, of course, I got your personal phone number, but without your personal address, this is what many of these people want to know. What is your personal contact information? In order to subpoena you to court, I need your personal contact information. Which is fucked up. Like, of course, if you're a stalker, one of the things that is a hallmark of a stalker is that they want to know where you're at and who you're with all the time. Did I ever ask Natalie Bollinger where she was at or who she was with? Even once in any of those messages between her and I after I left Virginia. Even once. But of course, if I don't ask for those things so that I can get protection orders against these people and drag these motherfuckers into court, then it means that I didn't try. But if I do ask for them, they get to pretend like I'm a stalker. Then we got, of course, Ted Bollinger trying to pretend like he's a big Billy badass and he wants to meet me. He wants to meet me somewhere. Fucking misleading the situation to make it out as if his daughter, Alicia Bollinger, was in danger. 7 fucking hours. Graham slept through most of it. Laura Nelson was awake for all of it. And who was it that spoke when that fucking pig there showed up? That's right, Graham Milborn. The fucking goddamn idiot who hadn't been there for fucking jack shit, hadn't listened to jack shit, had been paid massive quantities of both money and marijuana in the state of Colorado. And of course, this is all for the intent and purpose of getting him to look at evidence to be a witness. But then he doesn't want to understand. Yeah, Graham, thank you for writing it down. I did explain to you that you needed to go in with me to turn it in. But of course, you were busy wanting to smoke pot, wanting to get drunk. And then, of course, there's stuff that you wanted from me, and you promised me money. You promised me money for these things, and I could have gotten my vehicle out of the fucking impound if you'd have paid me for those things. But did you? No. And because you didn't pay me for those things, I had to actually spend that money that I did have to flee the fucking state. And you ended up getting to keep all of my stuff for absolutely free. Imagine that. There's a guy who claims he's a Christian. What kind of a Christian? You mean a Christian like Rod Wright? You're out of your fucking gourd. When these guys take the fifth, as they do every time, every single time, when they take the fifth, I know I got these son of a bitches, and all I need is the goddamn cameras. God bless America, assholes.